It is told in the Lay of Lúthien that Beren came stumbling into Doriath, grey and bowed, as with many years of woe. So great had been the torment of the road. But wandering in the summer in the woods of Neldoreth, he came upon Lúthien, daughter of Thingol and Melion, at a time of evening, under moonrise, as she danced upon the unfading grass in the glades beside his Galduin. Then all memory of his pain departed from him, and he fell into an enchantment. For Lúthien was the most beautiful of all the children of Ilúvatar. Blue was her raiment as the unclouded heaven, but her eyes were grey as the starlit evening. Her mantle was sewn with golden flowers, but her hair was dark as the shadows of twilight, as the light upon the leaves of trees, as the voice of clear waters, as the stars above the mists of the world. Such was her glory and her loveliness, and in her face was a shining light. But she vanished from his sight, and he became dumb, as one that is bound under a spell. And he strayed long in the woods, wild and wary as a beast, seeking for her. In his heart he called her Tinúviel, that signifies nightingale, daughter of twilight, in the grey elven tongue, for he knew no other name for her. And he saw her from afar as leaves in the winds of autumn, and in winter as a star upon a hill, but a chain was upon his limbs. There came a time near dawn on the eve of spring, and Lúthien danced upon a green hill, and suddenly she began to sing. Keen, heart-piercing was her song, as the song of the lark that rises from the gates of night and pours its voice among the dying stars, seeing the sun behind the walls of the world. And the song of Lúthien released the bonds of winter, and the frozen waters spoke, and flowers sprang from the cold earth where her feet had passed. Then the spell of silence fell from Beren, and he called to her, crying Tinúviel, and the woods echoed the name. Then she halted in wonder, and fled no more, and Beren came to her. But as she looked on him, doom fell upon her, and she loved him, and she slipped from his arms, and vanished from his sight, even as the day was breaking. Then Beren lay on the ground in a swoon, as one slain at once by bliss and grief, and he fell into a sleep, as it were into an abyss of shadow, and waking he was cold as stone, and his heart barren and forsaken, and wandering in mind he groped as one that is stricken with sudden blindness, and seeks with hands to grasp the vanished light. Thus he began the payment of anguish for the fate that was laid on him, and in his fate Lúthien was caught, and being immortal she shared in his mortality, and being free received his chain. And her anguish was greater than any other of the elder Lear has known. Beyond his hope she would turn to him, where he sat in darkness. And long ago, in the hidden kingdom, she laid her hand in his. Thereafter, often she came to him, and they went in secret through the woods together from spring to summer, and no others of the children of Ilúvatar have had joy so great, though the time was brief. But Dairon the minstrel also loved Lúthien, and he espied her meetings with Beren, and betrayed them to Thingol. Then the king was filled with anger, for Lúthien he loved above all things, setting her above all the princes of the elves, whereas mortal men he did not even take into his service. Therefore he spoke in grief and amazement to Lúthien, but she would reveal nothing until he swore an oath to her that he would neither slay Beren nor imprison him. But he sent his servants to lay hands on him and lead him to Menegroth as a malefactor. And Lúthien, forestalling them, led Beren herself before the throne of Thingol, as if he were an honoured guest. Then Thingol looked upon Beren in scorn and anger, but Melion was silent. "Who are you," said the king, "that come hither as a thief, and unbidden dare to approach my throne?" But Beren, being filled with dread, for the splendour of Menegroth and the majesty of Thingol were very great, answered nothing. Therefore Lúthien spoke, and said, "He is Beren, son of Barahir, lord of men, mighty foe of Morgoth, the tale of whose deeds is become a song even among the elves." "Let Beren speak," said Thingol. "What would you hear, unhappy mortal? And for what cause have you left your own land to enter this, which is forbidden to such as you? Can you show reason why my power should not be laid on you in heavy punishment for your insolence and folly?" Then Beren, looking up, beheld the eyes of Lúthien, and his glance went also to the face of Melion, and it seemed to him that words were put into his mouth. Fear left him, and the pride of the eldest house of men returned to him, and he said, "My fate, O king, led me hither, through perils such as few even of the elves would dare. And here I have found what I sought, not indeed, but finding I would possess forever. For it is above all gold and silver, and beyond all jewels. Neither rock nor steel, nor the fires of Morgoth, nor all the powers of the elf kingdoms shall keep from me the treasure that I desire. For Lúthien, your daughter, is the fairest of all the children of the world." Then silence fell upon the hall, for those that stood there were astounded and afraid, and they thought that Beren would be slain. But Thingol spoke slowly, saying, "Death you have earned with these words, and death you should find suddenly, had I not sworn an oath in haste, of which I repent. Base-born mortal, who in the realm of Morgoth has learnt to creep in secret as his spies and thralls." Then Beren answered, "Death you can give me, earned or unearned, but the names I will not take from you of base-born, nor spy, nor thrall, by the king of Felagund, that he gave to Barahir my father on the battlefield of the north. My house has not earned such names from any elf, be he king or no." His words were proud, and all eyes looked upon the ring, for he held it now aloft, and the green jewels gleamed there that the Noldor had devised in Valinor. For this ring was like to two twin serpents whose eyes were emeralds, and their heads met beneath a crown of golden flowers, that the one upheld and the other devoured. That was the badge of Finarfin and his house. Then Melion leaned to Thingol's side, and in whispered counsel bade him forgo his wrath. For not by you, she said, shall Beren be slain, and far and free does his fate lead him in the end. Yet it is wound with yours. Take heed. But Thingol looked in silence upon Lúthien, and he thought in his heart, unhappy men, children of little lords and brief kings, shall such as these lay hands on you and yet live? Then breaking the silence, he said, I see the ring, son of Doriath, and I perceive that you are proud and deem yourself mighty. But a father's deeds, even had his service been rendered to me, avail not to win the daughter of Thingol and Melion. See now, I too desire a treasure that is withheld, for rock and steel and the fires of Morgoth keep the jewel that I would possess against all the powers of the elf kingdoms. Yet I hear you say that bonds such as these do not daunt you. Go your way, therefore. Bring to me in your hand a Silmaril from Morgoth's crown, and then, if she will, Lúthien may set her hand in yours. Then you shall have my jewel, and though the fate of Arda lie within the Silmarils, yet you should hold me generous. Thus he wrought the doom of Doriath, and was ensnared within the curse of Mandos. And those that heard these words perceived that Thingol would save his oath, and yet send Beren to his death, for they knew that not all the power of the Noldor before the siege was broken had availed even to see from afar the shining Silmarils of Fëanor, for they were set in the Iron Crown, and treasured in Angband above all wealth, and balrogs were about them, and countless swords, and strong bars, and unassailable walls, and the dark majesty of Morgoth. But Beren laughed. For little price do elven kings sell their daughters, for gems and things made by craft. But if this be your will, Thingol, I will perform it. And when we meet again, my hand shall hold a Silmaril from the Iron Crown, for you have not looked the last upon Beren, son of Doriath. Then he looked in the eyes of Melion, who spoke not, and he bade farewell to Lúthien Tinúviel, and bowing before Thingol and Melion, he put aside the guards about him, and departed from Menegroth alone. Then at last Melion spoke, and she said to Thingol, O king, you have devised cunning counsel, but if my eyes have not lost their sight, it is ill for you, whether Beren fail in his errand or achieve it, for you have doomed either your daughter or yourself, and now is Doriath drawn within the fate of a mightier realm. But Thingol answered, I sell not to elves or men those whom I love and cherish above all treasure. And if there were hope or fear that Beren should come ever back alive to Menegroth, he should not have looked again upon the light of heaven, though I had sworn it. But Lúthien was silent, and from that hour she sang not again in Doriath. A brooding silence fell upon the woods, and the shadows lengthened in the kingdom of Thingol.